Hello, my name is Amanda, and you're watching Random How To. Today, I want to share with you some of my favorite dust busting tricks. The first thing to remember is that dust is inevitable in your house. It literally comes from like dead skin off of our body, so anywhere that we are, there's probably going to be some dust. But there are ways to get rid of it as much as possible and to just stay on top of it so that it doesn't ultimately build up and cause dust mites and allergies and all kinds of nasty things like that. So the first thing that I want to share is in my experience, you don't have to buy any fancy products for dusting. You can simply use a dish rag and water. I used to use those like duster things and some like dusting spray and stuff, but I found that a dish towel and like soaked in water does the job better than anything else I've ever used. So that right there saves you some money and you always have access to it. My second tip is to always start from the highest point and work your way down. The reason you want to start from the top and work your way down is because, for example, ceiling fans and things like that, if you use them at all, even in the winter, that dust up there is just going to spin right off and cover your entire room with dust. So you always want to start from the top and work your way down so that you get any dust along the way. My next tip is to literally wipe everything. Like, I get all the way up to the top of the window frame, all over down, right down to, I'll show you here, right down to the edges along the walls. Couches, table legs, any knickknacks you have around, everything. Everything that you can possibly dust should be wiped down. And I'll just say this now. I split up the dusting during the week. So, for example, one day a week, I dust the entire surface of my whole downstairs. So that's window frames, wall boards, table, chair legs, couches, everything, all of it. And then another day of the week, I'll dust the entire upstairs surface. So that at least once a week, the entire, like everything in my house is dusted. The next thing that I want to share is vacuuming. So I've lived in both hardwood floor homes and carpet, and either way, I always vacuum the entire house at least once a day. Especially in rug, dust can build up and you can't see it as easily as with the hardwood floors. So like if you have rug and you want to keep dust to a minimum, definitely have to vacuum it at least once a day. And don't forget the stairs. When I first moved into my rug home, I just kind of like, oh, it's just the stairs, you know? And so I finally vacuumed it, and I couldn't believe how much dust came up from it. So now I do the stairs every day as well, which is a little harder, but it's worth it if you want to have as much dust free as possible. Next thing you want to try to remember if you're trying to have as little dust as possible is to keep the knickknacks to a minimum. Try to keep as much clear space around your home as possible. I try to keep everything just all cleared off and put away back, where it belongs. I don't have a lot of picture frames or little knickknacks around at all. And that helps so that when it is time to dust each day, you can just simply wipe everything down without having to do a bunch of little things all at once. Because if you do have a lot of knickknacks around, you're going to want to dust those as well, because they collect dust just as much as anything else. So Every day, I don't do every lining of everything around the house, but I do the surface of things. So, for example, just like window sills, not all around the trim, just the window sills, any knickknacks, like I said, around the house, any open surfaces, I will dust every day. Just a good once over wipe through, just to keep the dust from piling up and having to deal with more at another date. It's just easier to stay on top of it so that it actually makes less work for you in the end. Another important tip that I learned is to change your bed sheets at least once a week. I do it every 4 days. I just follow my laundry cycle because I don't have a dust mite cover for my mattress, but I do have them for my pillowcases. Dust mite, covers and pillowcases are really good. They keep the dust mites from burrowing into your pillow and feeding off of your, dust and dandruff and heat that you produce when you're sleeping. So another tip is to give your mattress a good airing out as well if you're cleaning your sheets. And then also each morning, instead of making my bed immediately, I will leave the blankets pulled down to the side so that the sunlight can hit the sheets for a little while before I make my bed, because the dust mites, if there are any dust mites, they can't survive in the sunlight. They need warmth and darkness to actually thrive and multiply and survive. So if you don't have a cover for your mattress, you can just simply leave the covers off, let the sun shine on it for a little while, and then make your bed. So if you have children and their rooms are a lot more filled up with toys and things like that, I know my son has a lot of Legos and he likes to keep them all set up in his little town he created. So they collect so much dust, and his room is probably the only room in my entire house that I don't thoroughly dust every single day, because there's just so much stuff in an organized fashion, but it's all out, like the knickknacks, everything he wants to keep out on his dresser and things like that. It would take forever. So I do his room, like everything in the room, top to bottom, once a week. And I clean his sheets that day. And he has a dust mite cover on his bed because he does have allergy problems. So, and I found that since I've, done that with him and his pillowcases, his allergies have lessened a lot. So that shows me that it did work. Even me, I noticed once I switched to a dust mite cover on my pillowcase, I wasn't waking up with a stuffy nose or anything like that anymore. So those are really good. You can get them on Amazon or pretty much anywhere. They're not that expensive. But like I said, if you have kids and their rooms are just a mess, I would suggest at least once a week, if you can, pulling everything out from the wall, dusting everything around and vacuuming behind everything, just to really get up as much dust as you possibly can. Another thing to remember too, when you're trying to get rid of as much dust, is even chairs with upholstery and stuff. I vacuum them once a week and dust them down as well, just to keep it as clear as possible, like I said. So those are all my personal favorite dust busting tips. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.